Let's do the thingy things. Hello, Internet, and welcome back to the Story Nook. I hope you've got your water, your tea, your hot cocoa, whatever it is you are wishing to quench your first whiff today. Um, Welcome back. Today we're going to be reading more Reddit stories. I've got 3 queued up, one of which has an update, which was hilarious. And fun fact, I just spent the past 30 or so minutes trying to get my fucking mic to work because it had muted itself. And I'm over here like troubleshooting, trying to go for device manager, updating stuff. It was a whole rigmarole. And I also have a migraine today. Why am I recording and reading on a day I have a migraine? I don't know, but we are. Our first story comes from the subreddit Just No Mother-in-Law, which I've heard many of these great stories before. They're wonderful. I haven't quite read a whole lot of them, but if you enjoy this, I believe Reddit Brew has several videos where she reads stories from Just No Mother-in-Law. So go check her out. And then enjoy whatever random artwork I put over the top of this, which will indeed be random. It is just what's in the list here. Plop it down. Our first story is coming from user An Actual Mud Pup. And it is titled, My Mother-in-Law Photoshopped My Husband's Nose on Our Wedding Pictures. How do I tell him? Rant advice wanted, and I love that for rant it looks like a person just throwing and flipping a table, I believe. I don't know how y'all make these cute little things in text, but I like them. And OP states that they also posted this post to r/entitled parents, which is how I found the update to this. I, 27 female, have been with my husband, 29 male, for 7 years. Congratulations, OP. I remember that early in our relationship, one of the first things he expressed insecurity about was his nose. Specifically about its width. He never wanted surgery, but thinks his nose is too big for his face. I never thought that true. And for a long time I wondered where he'd gotten that idea from. Then I met his mother, and all my doubts went out the window. Swoosh! I don't hate her, but the woman complains about everything. And she seems particularly interested in criticizing her sons. Barely anything about my husband or his older brother is good enough for her, and if it is, she is quick to imply they don't deserve it. And according to my brother-in-law, that behavior didn't start until father-in-law passed about 8 years ago. So they don't usually hold it against her. But to me, it seems like she legitimately doesn't want her children to be happy. I'm personally thinking that is mother-in-law sabotaging and trying to think her sons aren't good enough for anything so that they'll stay close to her. Is this like her weird thing? Because I remember hearing about a guy who was insulting his girlfriend constantly because his dad told him, look, if you put the woman down, she won't go anywhere else because she thinks she can't get anything better. I wonder if it's one of those things. Most times we talk to her. My husband ends up devastated. She constantly complains about me, his job, our apartment, and his appearance. She has on more than one occasion just suggested he get a nose job. That tends to upset him, so I always try to shut that down as quickly as possible. We got married in early May. The photos were ready about 2 months later, and we created a shared Google album on Google Photos for our friends and family, including mother-in-law. I got pregnant during our honeymoon. Can't recommend the Rovnik enough. And I'm now 24 weeks along. We've had problems with mother-in-law concerning my pregnancy. were having a boy and she had a breakdown because she wanted a girl. That forced us to put her on an info diet. That was 2 months ago, and she has since improved her behavior. Because of that, we said yes when she wanted us to go to a mall near her place to shop for baby clothes last Saturday. My husband had an emergency at work and ended up not coming. But we still managed to have a good time. When we were done, she invited me back to her place. I hadn't been there in a while, and I quickly saw that she'd gotten some of our wedding pictures up on the wall. I instantly noticed something was wrong with them, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was yet. Mother-in-law saw that I was looking at and proudly announced that she had gotten someone to fix his nose. In other words, she gave her son a Photoshop nose job on his wedding pictures. Rude, but at the same time, they're hanging in her house. Still rude and weird. But they're hanging in her house, and she didn't put them in the Google album, so that's fine. I couldn't believe it. I never thought she'd stoop so low. It wasn't even a good nose job. It was so bad that my husband's face didn't look real. That's my phone getting text messages because I'm in the car and it's connected to the car Bluetooth for phone calls. I hope no one calls. I couldn't believe it. I never thought she stooped so low. It wasn't even a good nose job. It was so bad that my husband's face didn't look real. He looked like a Ken doll, and not in the hot Ryan Gosling way. Mother-in-law must have seen how mad I got because she instantly tried to defend herself. She tried to make the point that her son deserved to look his best on his wedding day, and I should have convinced him to get the real nose job before our ceremony. I made up an excuse to leave, and I could tell she knew the real reason. She had been calling and texting me almost every day since. I'd been ignoring her, but she's always either apologizing, accusing me of overreacting, or begging me not to tell my husband. Her begging you not to tell her husband, or like your own husband, is she knows if her son finds out, that'll probably be a proverbial, like, almost nail in the coffin. I know it seems trivial, but I'm outraged. And the more I think about it, the more disgusted I get. I could never imagine doing something like that to my child. I haven't told my husband yet, mostly because we've both been busy with work this week, but also because I have no idea how to. His mother was finally starting to be a better person around him and his brother, and I know it will break his heart to find out about this. I don't know what to do. I have to tell him, but I can't figure out how. I know he loves his mother, and I don't want to damage whatever relationship they still have. Mother-in-law also mentioned she intended to send the improved pictures to some of her relatives, so I had to find a way to shut that down. So how can I tell my husband his mother photoshopped his face on our wedding pictures? More importantly, what would be the most peaceful way to do it? Yeah, because this is a thing that hubby is insecure about. It's one of his insecurities, his biggest insecurity, in fact. And so, yeah, I'm sure OP got lots of advice. And we're going to go ahead and go to the update. And maybe if there's still stuff in the comment section, I might peruse it a bit. So here's our update to mother-in-law photoshopped my husband's nose. And this was posted 3 days ago as of me reading this, as I have crappy Amazon Wi-Fi to carry me through. Hey dudes, I'm back. Thank you to everyone who took the time to offer me advice on my last post. First of all, I want to clarify that not telling my husband what his mother did was never an option. She wouldn't remove the pictures from her house unless I either told him or threatened her. Had I done the latter, she could use that against me in the future, even imply I agreed with her. Plus, he was bound to find out at some point, and I knew it would be better if it came from me. I also asked how to do it, not whether I should. Because OP cares about her hubby's feelings and wants to do it tactfully without being like, hey, your mom's a bitch, she did this thing. So I sat him down last Saturday and broke the news. I explained what the pictures were and mother-in-law's excuses for them. I also showed him the texts she sent me since my visit. How long has this been? 11 days, 3 days? So yeah, a little over a week. The whole conversation, I was calm and straightforward, but I made it very clear that not only did mother-in-law's actions completely disgust me, but I never agreed with her about his appearance. He's the most gorgeous man I've ever met, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with his nose. I also made sure to point out that the Photoshop nose made him look like the front-facing Phineas from Phineas and Ferb, and mother-in-law needs to get her eyes checked if she really thought it looked good. I thought the news would hurt him, and I was right. He didn't cry or anything, but I could see it in his face. The odd but common combination of disappointment and acceptance. He knew his mother wouldn't change, but still had some hope. And it was almost heartbreaking to watch, as it always is in these situations. But for the first time in a while, he seemed to believe me when I said his nose was normal. He told me that now that he knew just how ridiculous mother-in-law was willing to be, her opinion meant a lot less to him. So even though he's hurt, he feels stronger than ever. As many of you suggested, I told him that he was free to approach the situation however he pleased. But I don't want to be around his mother anymore. More importantly, I don't want her around our son or any other kids we might have. Not only because of the guilt-tripping tantrums that have become her standard behavior, but also because of the way she treats the people she's supposed to love. Understandable. You don't want someone who's just constantly bringing out negative emotions. I know she loves her family, but I doubt she knows how love works. If she's willing to treat her sons like this, I fully expect her to be even worse to her grandchildren. This. Like, I know my mom loves me, but my mom does not know how to show that she loves us, her children, in a normal and healthy and productive way. Which is why my sister and I have got no contact. Like, we know you love us, but at the same time, is it love when your first greeting to us is hi fat ass, or if you're always complaining to us about everything but not really asking us how we are, or if the fact that I have to be the one to initiate the phone calls? Am I a little bit petty and bitter? Maybe, yes. Don't care. On way. In the end, my husband and I decided we're going very low contact with mother-in-law until the holidays. Some of his relatives are throwing a party the week before Christmas, and she'll be there. We thought about skipping it, but he has cousins he hasn't seen in years coming for the party. He's been looking forward to seeing them for months, and it doesn't feel fair to let mother-in-law ruin his excitement. Exactly. This is a family event. You can see your mother-in-law and just not acknowledge her. Just give a brief nod and continue on hanging out with your other relatives. If they ask, you can say it's a personal matter. We don't really want to discuss it at this time. That's how I handle one of my sisters, the oldest racist one. I see her, I give her a nod, still don't like your ass, and continue on hanging out with other relatives. You can do that for all the holidays. After the holidays, we'll decide how to proceed. Regardless, she won't be allowed to see our son at the hospital when he's born. And once we bring him home, she won't be left alone with the baby. It doesn't matter how much she tries to improve, that is not something we're willing to budge on. In spite of everything, my husband doesn't want to cut ties with his mother, and I understand that. Even if he wanted to, he can't fully go no contact without cutting off the rest of his maternal family as well, which he is firmly against. What works best for now is to treat her like Domino's Pizza. She exists, and that's fine, but we're not getting involved until she actually improves. I also decided to tell one of my own family about this, and everyone I've talked to agrees that mother-in-law went over the line. My father is a narcissist who I am mostly low contact with due to his entitled behavior. Most recently, he tried to make me disinvite his ex from my wedding so he could bring his mistress. And even he was offended on my husband's behalf. And if even my mediocre respect your elders father thinks your children are right about you being an asshole, you've probably gone too far. We talked to my brother-in-law, and he's the one who informed mother-in-law of our decision. She didn't take the news well. She's now trying to call me and my husband and keeps texting apologies and promises to take the pictures down. We're ignoring her. Brother-in-law visited her yesterday. Apparently the pictures are gone. She believed that was enough for us to forgive her, but he clarified that there is still a lot of work that needs to be done. Before anyone calls us dramatic, this isn't just about the Photoshop. This is about the damage she's caused to both of her sons' lives. I was abused in a similar fashion in my teens by my dad's ex, and I refuse to allow my children to grow up believing he's anything less than beautiful. Same goes for my husband. That's all. Again, thank you guys. And that is beautiful. I'm giving that an arrow up, because it is wonderful. As you should protect the babies, because they don't deserve the insanity that mother-in-law is giving. So it's not cool. And I guess we'll have to keep an eye on if OP will upload again. I'm going to go ahead and follow them, because if they upload again, I'll know. But yeah. But we got one more story. Oh wow, we're actually at 18 minutes. But we'll read the last story because I pulled it up and I said I would read it. And then I'll edit the audio for a good long minute. And this story comes from Malicious Compliance. It's a nice and short and sweet one. And it's posted by Vivo Amethyst. If you're late to school, you'll get a half an hour of detention. This policy was enacted by my high school in my last few years. Once classes started, the gates were shut, and if we arrived late, you had to sign in at the office. This gave them a list of kids to pick out at the end of the day, and we would have to sit in detention for a half an hour. But it was only ever half an hour, no matter how late you were. Cue me and my best friends enjoying our extended lie-ins in the morning, then walking into town to hit up McDonald's or Subway for breakfast, before casually strolling in between 2 and 3 hours late, signing in and just happily accepting the extra half an hour detention at the end of the day. It took them a full month to catch on to us, at which point the late policy was changed and we were given a full week's worth of detention each, which A, absolutely did not make up for the time lost, and B, was well worth it for the best month of high school we ever had. It's safe to say the two rebel teenagers won that round. And so yeah, schools, they enact like weird if you're late policies. I don't quite get it. Granted, most of my schools, I don't think there was really much walkable to it. It was possible, but depends on which route you had to take. But thank you all for being here for the story, Nook. You're all wonderful and awesome. And yeah, have a lovely day. Make sure you eat all the food you need to eat. Stay well hydrated. All that good stuff. Feel free to leave likes and comments down below if you enjoyed today's video. And yeah, go check out some of the other videos of whatever playlist or whatever I put up on the screen. So yeah, bye-bye.